Your offer might be good, but it reads like it's about you. Your process, your features, your experience, your awards. The problem is the buyer is looking for themselves.
Today, we're unpacking self-relevance, why the brain pays attention to something that feels personal, and how to make your marketing feel understood, not just personalised.
If your message is clear but still not converting, this one matters.
Welcome to Think Shift, the podcast where neuroscience meets business.
Hey Leanne, how you going?
Hey Clint, how you doing?
I'm all right.
Good.
Loving the trench coat today.
Yeah, I know. I've got my cropped trench on, which I was saying is from Zara, but it is a copy of Yves Saint Laurent.
Which is YSL to the rest of us. Yes, very good.
Yeah, look at you go with your acronyms, your fashion, your fashion acronyms.
I know at least three others: Dior, Chanel, and maybe Hermes.
Oh my God, that's impressive.
Yeah,
that's impressive.
To sweat on those. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, no, I've got on top of my Think Shift T-shirt.
Which is the most important.
That's right, exactly right. Yeah, the designer Think Shift T-shirt. Yeah,
which I designed. So
you did actually.
Yeah, so even more important than YSL.
It's the Clint Nielsen Fashion House.
All right. So today we're talking about making it about them, about your customer.
We're just talking about making it about me. So that's that. So
yes,
that fits right in.
It does. Let's move on to the customer and let's talk about the science behind self-relevance.
Yeah. Yep.
So your offer might be good. The message is clear. Your design might be polished, but the audience doesn't see themselves in it. They move on straight away. So let's first talk about what is self-relevance in plain language.
So self-relevance is literally what's in it for me. So what is it that is relevant to my brain, to me as a person, without the fluff. Mm-hmm. So it has to be something that I can see myself in or see myself doing, or an outcome that
like a trench.
Is like the trench.
You can see yourself in that before you bought it.
Exactly right. So, and that's true, right?
Yes.
And that's also, funnily enough, that you bring that up. Some websites, clothing and also hair websites, okay, forget the hair one for you. But
I don't know what that is.
No, exactly. Is you can create. So you get a picture of yourself or you take a picture of yourself and you put a hairstyle on or you'll put an outfit on your body and so that's creating self-relevance. What that's also doing is creating something called the endowment effect. So the endowment effect or the IKEA effect. When you see yourself in something, all of a sudden it's more valuable. And so that's what happens with self-relevance, is that when we see that, it all of a sudden becomes extremely valuable to us, a lot more than what it would if it was just something that was interesting but not super relevant.
So it increases attention.
Yes.
And the memory is an imprint, a stronger imprint, would you say?
Yeah, so it creates almost like a blueprint. But we have a blueprint too.
Right.
So we actually have a blueprint of how what we see that's relevant and what we see that we want to see, that is we give it attention. So and that just exactly, it imprints and consolidates that blueprint that we have in our brain.
Why does the brain prioritise self-relevant information though?
Because it doesn't have time to prioritise what's not.
Right.
So, we're running at 1 million miles an hour, going back to dual process theory with system one thinking. We need something that evokes an emotion, triggers something that is important to us. And that's what we give attention to because we purely just don't have the time to give time or to information that's not relevant or is not, we don't think that we're going to benefit from.
We talk about cognitive load a lot, and then here I've got personal relevance reduces effort. So again, the reduction of
effort reduction,
reduction.
Cognitive reduction.
The brain loves less.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So the more we can give it less, the more. Is that heighten hormones or endorphins, or does that? Is that what
endorphins
it
and dopamine, and lowers cortisol, which is what's important. So cortisol is what stops us from making really good decisions because it, in a way, paralyzes the prefrontal cortex, which is the conductor of the orchestra being our brain and our body. So our really good decisions come from our prefrontal cortex. The raised cortisol or upregulation of cortisol stops that. So we can't make a decision. So what happens is when it reduces that, we can. So that's when we allow information in to make some really good decisions, which is, the area of decision sciences. And but we have to pick and choose. So we can't pick everything. And we generally choose the path of least resistance because it creates, our brain has a working capacity. It has a certain, level or limit. And we need to work within those boundaries and those guardrails of how much we can let in.
Okay.
So we're selective.
There is a confusion between relevancy and personalisation. So I'm going to ask you now on that.
Yeah.
What's the difference between those two?
So personalisation is very superficial. So, it's surface level. It's the shell or
adding your name into comms, for instance.
Yeah, it's a very conscious action. Very conscious action. So someone's consciously done it, or we're conscious that it's being done. Where relevance isn't.
Okay.
It's a subconscious trigger, and it evokes a neurological response. It can it can deregulate or upregulate even our nervous system in the way that and allows us to look for danger or safety in a way that we the motive response. Where personalisation, it's very, very superficial. So we like to personalise and customise things.
Yeah.
Personalise, but you need to personalise and customise something that's relevant.
Yeah.
We can easily personalise something that's not relevant.
That's right.
And that's a disaster.
Because it can feel fake if the message, like we use the example, if something comes into my inbox and says, "Hey, Clint, try out my new hair volumizing shampoo." And I'm like, there's no relevancy here. So now it looks like I've been spammed.
Yeah, exactly.
So relevancy.
Where if it came into my inbox, I'm like, oh, great. I can get my bleached hair even higher, the more the better. Like I'm trying to, Marge Simpson, I'm joking. But the more volume and the more, my hair is curly anyway, but the more that I can control this, the better. So it's absolutely relevant for you.
Yes.
It's a load of nonsense.
A load of nonsense. What does true relevance feel like to a consumer though?
So it needs to be really authentic. Again, another overused word.
Names the problem that they're feeling in that time.
Yeah, that's right. So it needs to be authentic, needs to feel genuine. There needs to be a connection.
Uses their language.
Almost need to feel like you are in their shoes. Mm-hmm. They understand me. I'm understood.
Understood, yeah.
And that is often missed. And I actually see it. I mean, it'd be interesting to get your opinion on this. I actually see it miss more than hit the target. Yeah,
look, with a framework called StoryBrand that I've often used for developing websites, putting the we understand your problem is probably the most important part of that website. So structuring the site in a way that is, this is what we do. This is some uniqueness to why you should read a bit more. So the 3 key things that we do differently to others. And this is how we understand you right now. So go straight into understanding the customer straight away before you tell them that you can solve that problem. This is how we solve it. This is our process. These are some people in our testimonials that have gone through this and agree and click to, sign up now. So that's a very tried and true process. But it's so often missed on websites that haven't had this process done. Putting the customer's problem up front and center and recognizing that, we understand it. We understand that problem. That's a big part of it. So we've just talked about, I guess, what makes personalization feel a bit false. What can make it feel creepy? Is there a creepiness that it can go one step too far?
It can. It's being too familiar, or it's like, how did you get that information?
Too familiar.
Yeah,
okay,
too
that makes
familiar.
sense.
How do you know that? Or you haven't earned the right to know that, or you haven't earned the right to communicate in that way.
I haven't provided that information that you would know that.
You don't have permission. And it can feel a little bit icky. And that's why we talk in sales, and sales can be a bit icky because you push, and you're using information that is not relevant at that time, or you haven't earned the right to use that information at the time. So it can be creepy and icky. But often people think, well, the more I know about someone, the more I say, hey, I know
I know this about you.
But it's like, well, hang on, no. I actually haven't
earned that right to
you haven't
talk
earned that
about
right to talk about it. So yes, it can. Mm-hmm. Absolutely it can.
So people reject messages that seem technically personalized. The message gets the surface detail right, but the motive wrong. It feels automated. It doesn't solve a relevant problem, and it triggers suspicion rather than connection. So big problem. Before we continue, don't forget to follow ThinkShift on all the social networks, like and subscribe so you can keep up to date with what's happening and when the next shift is coming out. So, Leanne, let's talk about where self-relevance shows up in marketing and user experience. So self-relevance isn't just a copywriting issue. It shows up across the whole experience. And I'm going to talk about now where businesses usually miss the self-relevance, right? So I just mentioned before homepage design and homepage messaging and hierarchy, homepage headlines that lead with the company, products and services.
Yeah.
Features and benefits.
Yeah.
Product pages that list features before needs. Yeah. Onboarding that asks questions but doesn't use the answers. Emails that segment by data but not by motivation. So these are some really crucial ones that I see. Are there any that you see?
Yeah, a lot of language that's we, this, we, all about we.
Yes.
Okay.
We do this, we do that.
Yeah, great. Can I come into the story here?
Yeah.
So it's instead of what we do for you, so using, but not overusing, but using, you, or what we do together, or, so using collective language and collaborative language rather than it's all about us.
Yeah.
And I find most websites I read is we. We do this, we solve this, we provide this, we help you.
Yeah. And why do you think that is, though? Why do you think we're so keen to put ourselves as the hero in these situations as a business? Like it's almost a default.
I actually don't think people know how not to.
Right. That makes sense.
Yeah. I actually don't think they and it is a much harder process, making your customer or consumer the hero, which is what it should be. But it is a lot harder. It's a lot harder to write about it from a copy perspective, to design around that, to talk about that, even come up with the narrative. It's a lot harder. And we know what we do really well. So it's easier just to go blah with the information, we this, we that, and talk about ourselves.
Yeah.
And also, we do like talking about ourselves.
We do.
As, humans, we do. We like talking about ourselves, what we've achieved, what we've done, how good we are. It's why quizzes. I mean, I have my archetype quiz, but it's why quizzes and those, find out about how you rank in a certain thing. And quizzes work really well
popular.
because I want to know what I am.
Yeah, against everyone else.
Against everyone else. I want to know how, what score I get. We're competitive in, species. I want to know what score I get. I want to know where I come. I want to know where it's this. I want to know how many votes I got.
Yes.
And so that works really, really well. And so we tend to find it much easier to talk about ourselves and talk about the customer.
So we're going to talk about now the risk of getting relevance wrong. And one of the key things here is that it can feel manipulative at the really bad end.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that's, the risk of getting it wrong?
Well, you could be misunderstood. You're misinterpreted. Your intentions aren't what they are, and this could be by accident.
Yeah.
But there is a statistic that over 50% of emails are misunderstood. That when I read that absolutely blew my mind.
Right.
Because people don't get the tone right, or they're writing for themselves rather than for the reader. I mean, that's a lot. Over 50% of emails are misunderstood. That's from Harvard. And that happens because we're communicating in the wrong way. Mm-hmm. And we're talking about the wrong thing and then things that aren't relevant. And so it's a disaster.
And it's
very high risk.
And people feel misread, so they'll often then go and start publishing that on online platforms, and there's a big brand risk, right, with that associated with that kind of behaviour.
Yeah.
Suddenly they're on LinkedIn going, I just spoke to insert company name and they sent me an email and it was this, and I feel put off by that, and, it could be catastrophic in so many ways.
Well, it can, because we also share our lives on social media.
Yeah.
I mean, we're told to be visible and people take that literally. I mean, we're extremely visible, but in a work capacity, but people do. They'll go, I'm going to call you out and I'm going to put you on the socials. And again, it's all about me. And I want you to comment and justify that you also think that this is incorrect.
Yeah.
So it's around self-preservation in a way, which is why we then, blast it out to the world and, with a megaphone and shout it from the rooftops.
Now I'm going to talk about, as a business, how to make it about them. Let's talk about that. So it's not about more data. It's about better interpretation of your customer. What should businesses do before writing or designing anything and not just hire us? I was going to say that.
Well, one of the first questions we would ask anyway is, what's the problem that needs to solve? So what's going on? What's happening with your customer? What is it? And what is it that you do that helps solve a problem?
Yeah.
So what are your customers thinking? What behaviours, what decisions do you want them to make? Who are they? Where are they? Who are the decision makers? What industries? And what is it that you do that solves a problem? So I actually don't want to know about your products and services. I want to know what the outcome is first.
What is the outcome? Always start with the outcome.
What is that first?
How do we avoid that outcome happening, or how do we enable the outcome?
Yeah. And, I often will use a lot of loss aversion bias. A loss aversion is a cognitive bias where we put more than double or over 50% of emphasis on losing something rather than gaining something. So where we talk about, well, if you do this, you'll get this. Or if you do it this way, you'll achieve this, rather than if you don't utilise this, you won't get.
Right.
And often when we use that kind of language, people will sit up and go, hang on, what do you mean I'm not going to get
missing out? What
do you mean?
Yeah.
Well, I need that, or I don't want to feel like that. I want to feel like this. So I better then engage. So it's using, and also using behavioural science. Behavioural science, our brain. I mean, the industry of behavioural science is around understanding human decision making and how we behave and how we think. And obviously, we bring in neuroscience and psychology into that to power up that tool. Understand that it's incredibly successful and understanding where your customer is coming from. So it's not just about what they're saying, it's around the behaviours behind that. So if we can find out a way to uncover that, then we know how to communicate.
Yep.
So that's what we need to do, because we're emotional beings. 95% of any decision is emotion. We then justify it with 5% of logic.
Yeah.
So we need to be talking to that 95% brain, not the 5%.
That's right. So back to relevancy here, how do you make copy feel more relevant first as a business? If I was going to try and make my copy more relevant, how would I do that?
Well, it needs to speak to the customer, and it needs to be using language that's collaborative.
Understand their situation.
Make them the hero, as you said. Mm-hmm. And, in a design perspective, I mean, you're the expert here. What do you think from a design?
Well, this is a copy question, but in terms of design, I would make the hierarchy very clear and obvious and lead with a headline and and then the body copy. And then
in the copy, people need to read themselves in the copy.
They do.
They need to read their about that resonates with me. Oh yeah, I've had that problem. Oh I can see myself as I'm reading this. I see my problem here, or I see now how this can be solved.
Yep.
Or I see, with a great headline, I see how this fits into my world.
Yeah.
It's a big tick for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Replace broad benefits with specific outcomes is another one.
Yeah.
Show who the offer is for and who it is not for, potentially.
Yeah.
Depending on what it is.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. Yeah, and people, often you read, and I see this, well, who this is not for. And I often question that. I'll say, how do you know? No, but seriously.
Yeah, you don't know all situations, and there's going to be outliers.
But often, and people use this as they think it's a persuasion tactic. I mean, it'd be interesting to know, and send us a comment or a question. And it'd be good, actually, if you guys have questions, just to send them in, because we read them and answer them. Is who does that? It'd be interesting to know, you guys, who actually says, oh, this offer is for this, and who it's not for.
Yeah.
And that was a trend that was happening a couple of years ago, and I still see people doing that.
Yeah.
And I challenge it every time, because who's it not? How do you know if you have a skill to solve a problem? Why wouldn't you want to solve it? for someone regardless of where they are.
Another ridiculous example could be, try our new volumizing shampoo. Who this is not for, and there's a photo of me. Like, ridiculous, right? Why would you do that? Why would you show someone who doesn't need the product, right?
That's obvious.
It's a ridiculous example.
From a product perspective, I get it. From a service perspective, I think it's very damaging. I talk about something called the pyramid of priorities. Maybe we can do an episode on that, actually, the POP, looking at, I taught you the POP, tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, tier 4.
Yes.
Who this is not for is only looking at your tier 1, which is the tip of the pyramid. But if you look at tier 4, which is the bottom, there is so much unrecognised need. There is so much business there. We're leaving money on the table. By saying who this is not for, you're not actually engaging with anyone from tier 4, which is where a lot of business is. So I really challenge those. I mean, obviously the example you gave is obvious, but I really challenge a lot of who this is not for. I actually want to know from you, how do you know?
Yeah. That's a good question.
How do you know they're not in your tier 4? Because if they're not your customer, they're your competitors. So you're actually missing out on business.
Please comment and ask your questions. I'd love to know.
Yeah.
That'd be great. Okay. Next, I'm going to talk about how user experience can create self-relevance. So letting the user self-select, using guided pathways, ask fewer but better questions. Again, I know we talk about cognitive load so much here, but it chimes in here again. It's ask less is more. Ask fewer, more direct questions, and you'll get better answers and better engagement. Adapt next steps based on context. Show relevant proof near the decision point. I think that's really, really powerful too. So that means testimonials, things of that nature, near where decisions to be made, call to actions, forms to be filled out, things like that.
So proximity of relevant data,
Yeah, proximity. Just want to move now to teams. So when we're talking about in a business sense, what should teams stop doing?
So one thing I see, especially in the enterprise or the corporate space, is companies talking about themselves.
Yep.
We've done these, we've got,
the company history, basically.
Yeah, company history. We've got this, or even, to the point where, we've been around for 50 years and the org chart, even, org chart, and we do this and we do that and we've got this team, just check our timeline, look at our team. And looking at our team and our about page and all that is great. I get that, but this is not. This is
too soon.
This is heading up on either on the homepage or
landing page.
or a landing page, or I see often in presentations, people starting a presentation with the company history.
Yeah, leading with the team.
Wow.
Bad idea.
Yeah. Now, there's a time and place for that.
Comes later in the deck or in the presentation.
Yeah. Stop leading with that. Stop leading again with your capabilities and your features and benefits.
Yes.
I call it flipping it upside down. So start with the outcomes first. Start with the solution, what problems that you solve. Then you go into how you do it. Then you go into the features and benefits, and then you go into the authority piece, which is the company history, and that we've got these super duper teams with all this knowledge that can help you. Great. So it can solidifies every step. We get to the point and go, well, now I understand this is an outcome. Well, this is a problem that we can solve. Yep, great. They do it this way. That sounds reasonable. These are the features and benefits. Okay, now I see how that, and these are the people that do it well.
Yep.
Makes sense.
Always recommend.
Makes sense. Where do I sign?
Always recommend team at the end.
Yeah.
Even on pitch decks.
Yeah.
It's, this is how we're going to do it. There's all these things. Who's behind it all?
100%. My proposals, and this is one thing I get a comment on often, is they'll say, oh, you talk about yourself at the end. So I'm actually at the end before the terms and conditions.
Yep, same.
And did someone tell you that, I wonder?
It's just me. Just me.
So because it's not about you.
No.
It's not about you. And I then, once you see what the value is and what you're going to get, then I solidify it by saying, hey, I'm the expert behind this. This is why you're able to get this. And people go, yeah.
Hello.
Yeah, hello. Here I am. This is me at the end.
At the end. Yeah.
Rather than a lot of proposals I see is where they start with, this is the team, this is the problem, this is us, this is what we can do, it's features and benefits. You've gone many pages in before you even get to something that's relevant.
Yeah. I think another important one is stop talking to everyone. So in your messaging.
Yeah.
If you're talking to everyone, you're talking to no one.
Yeah.
So make it targeted, make it focused, pick the lowest hanging fruit. and then target them and not everybody. It's quite often, it happens all the time. I'm sure you get the same thing in your business when you ask that question, who are you talking to? Who's your audience? And they say, everyone, 20 to 80, men, women, and you're just going, oh my goodness, this is going to be really hard to focus and target the messaging now.
Yeah.
Let's just pick your 80% of who you want to target and let's go for them.
Yeah.
And then we'll test that and then change later. But it happens all the time. Do you see a bit of that?
100%. And I actually get people, I work with them on doing positioning statements, and we do a minimum of 3. So this is not a UVP, unique value proposition or unique selling proposition. Those of you that know me know I actually don't really agree with that because it doesn't showcase you well enough. But a positioning statement is the position of the business and the identity of the business and what you do and what you do well and what is unique, making you uncomparable in a comparable market. And we have multiple of those because it depends on who you're talking to. So rather than doing something, because normally when we do positioning statements and when I get people to do them, I do all this. I have a marketing agency and I help you become more visible. So what? Yeah. That's what everybody says.
Yeah.
What is it? And we do multiple positioning statements so people can actually use them for particular audiences and concentrate on and focus on a particular audience or a particular segment or target certain people or a certain industry or a certain group, so then it is more relevant. One thing I really want everyone to take away from this is that self-relevance and relevance bias is a thing, and it's a huge thing. So the brain will not allow itself to take on messaging unless it sees an impact in it. So unless you are talking to the person, the brain will not compute. So that's, something really important for our listeners and our viewers, that it does need to be relevant because there is a cognitive bias that will stop our brain from processing your information if it isn't.
Wow. Yeah, that's a really good message there to wrap that up. A measurement focus. I just want to briefly talk about how to measure effectiveness of these things we're talking about. So an obvious one is click through from segment-specific messages. So you've got marketing out in market and say a LinkedIn ad, for example, and checking the click-through rate on that marketing is a really obvious one to your landing page and then through to checkout. Check the journey, make sure someone's landing, then going all the way through. If not, why? Is it messaging? Is it the design? Is it something else? At least tracking it.
Too many colours on your call to
Too many
action.
colours on your call to action. Another one is conversion by persona or segment. Yeah. So checking which personas are converting. Like I said before, is it age 20 to 80 and only the 80-year-olds are converting? Then is it working or is it a whoopsie?
Yeah.
Okay. And on the last one is inquiry quality, right? Yeah. So if you're getting emails and your forms are being filled out by the right people, or are they being spammed and hit by web development companies in Europe or something? As an example. All right. I think we've covered everything.
That's great.
Okay, awesome. Here's the shift. People don't respond because you personalize. They respond because they recognize themselves. Self-relevance is the moment someone thinks, this is for me. This understands my problem. This fits where I am right now. That is what earns attention. That is what drives action. One action for the listener this week: pick one key message. Ask whether it could apply to almost anyone. If it can, sharpen it and make the audience visible in the message. And that's Think Shift. I'm Clint.
I'm Leanne.
One idea, one shift in under 30 minutes. If this episode changed how you think, share it with someone who makes decisions for a living.
And follow Think Shift on all the socials, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss what shift is coming up next.
See you in the next episode.
Bye.
Bye.
This is a March Made Media production.